Hello everyone, Chris Campbell here in the clock shop this evening. We are finishing up the rebuild of our cuckoo clock. So we have the back plate all nice, polished and clean, as you can see. We've already burnished the holes. We've also got this as the front plate, or the internal plate, and this would be the front side. So we've got all them. Now when we burnish a cuckoo clock, we use a small little toothpick and we go down inside of the pivot holes. And this will remove any other grit, grime, dried oil that doesn't get removed from the ultrasonic cleaner. And you want to use a wood toothpick because it doesn't distort or open the holes any bigger, and it doesn't file them out like a metal file or a pick would do. So you just basically go into the holes and just burnish out. And as you can see, that toothpick is very dirty. So if I hold it up, you can see how black it is. So that shows you just how much grit is actually coming off. We'll switch sides and do this side. Now we'll go to the back plate. And you just want to do all the major pivot holes. That's going to be making contact with the pivots of the gears. And that's all it really takes. It's just a few passes. Alright. And as you can see, we removed a lot of grit from both sides. Okay. So now we have the back plate. So what we're going to do now is go ahead and start installing the internal parts, which we won't need that. Let's see, we're going to go ahead and first install this piece, which is our lock cam. Okay. And we're going to use a C-clip. So we'll push that on there. And we'll get this back. Yep. Okay. So we have that in place. The next piece that we're going to install is going to be our bird lever, which is this piece here. This piece is what holds the door open and closes it at the end of each strike. And it goes in here. And we also have to have the door of the bird closed. So I'm going to time it and lock it. Now for what so that you know what I'm saying, is this little flag here, this pin of the bird door opening has to be on the outside of this little flag. If it's on the inside, the door will not open and close, it'll stay stuck. So in this position, we have it in the lock position here. Make sure that it stays in the little pivot hole, and it's on the outside of the pin. And then we'll worry about timing this gear in just a little bit, because that's what opens and operates. Alright, so the next gear we're going to put in is the mainspring. So we'll go up underneath here. And lock that in place, okay? Let's see, next gear. It's going to be our warning wheel. And so this one has a pin right here. And so we want that pin at the 12 o'clock position. So I'm going to place it here. rotate it just a little bit so that that pin is at the 12 o'clock position. That way it'll line up for the strike. Next is our governor, or fan. And so we'll place it right there. Alright, so now the strike side is already set up. Now we're going to go for the time side. So we're going to take our mainspring winder here. Now on a lot of these cuckoo clocks, this is an 8-day clock, so it comes with this little extra plastic gear. Now a lot of times on these German cuckoo clocks that are especially 8 days, this gear will usually create a crack and break, and that's usually what stops a cuckoo clock from working. So the only way to fix it is either to use baking soda and epoxy to fill in the gap and push it back together, and then hand file out the teeth so that it works, or you can replace these gears, which this plastic gear to come from West Germany is about $20 to $30. Or you can actually, if you have a 3D printer, which I do, you can take the measurements and put it into the program and print out one of these gears, and it's costs less than 50 cents to make. But usually if an 8-day cuckoo clock stops working and it will not run, 9 times out of 10 it's this gear here that has created a crack. So we'll go ahead and place that into place. Alright. Our next gear is the second gear. And so we're going to get it up. Okay. Our next one to go in is the escapement. Let's see. Make sure that it fits perfect. And then we have our crutch. Now the crutch will fit here. Alright, so that is the movement of a cuckoo clock with the gears in place. Now comes the hard part. This is the part that will use a lot of choice words sometimes. Test your patience. Make you question your life choices of why you got involved in the clock business. And then some. So now we have to line up 15 pivot holes and get them in their right position, one at a time. Now this will take upwards sometimes of maybe in 30 minutes to an hour. I've actually had it to take close to 3 hours on some of the major grandfather clocks. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and pause that part, and we will come back to it once I've got the entire movement pivots lined up. But that's how we install and set up the strike gear and the time side of a cuckoo clock. Stay with me. Alrighty everybody, Chris Campbell back, and we have the movement completely together. All the pivots are put in place. So this is a finished of the movement, but we still have a lot of work to do. If we were to push the gears, you can see that the crutch of the verge is moving, so that's a good sign. And we will do the time, or the strike, and that is smooth, so that's good. So now what I'm going to do is oil, and I'm using clock oil to oil the pivots. So just a tiny bit of oil, not much. Just a little dab. Okay. Now we'll turn it over and do the front side. And right there, perfect. All right. So now our next piece that we're going to install is our cam piece, or our star wheel. So we'll put that in here. And this just screws in. Okay. Perfect. All right. All right, so then our next piece that we're going to put in is our intermediate wheel. And this one uses a C-clip. And this one can be a little tricky sometimes. So, there we go. Okay. All right. And next will be our locking lever. And I do not like the way that works. Something is a little off. Right. Okay, right there. That should be it. Okay. Let's hope that I can get that to stay in place. And damn. Okay. Now we'll put in our rack. Make sure that it drops like it should, and our snail. Now with the rack and snail system, this can be a little tricky sometimes. So it's usually a little bit of a trial and error. And in this case, a little bit of both. Okay. But that still is not completely alright, there we go. Okay. Alright, so that's the locked. And that is the lock. Okay, perfect. So now we have the time side striped, or timed. If we were to put power to this, as you can see, the crutch of the verge is moving, so that's good. It shows that there would be power to it. This locks so it doesn't unlock. There we go. And then once we move it, okay, so we are a little bit out of time, so that's not good. Okay, that's what I wanted to see. Here we go. Okay. That needs to be pushed back further. Okay. Now we can try it. One, two, three, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and that locks. Perfect. All right. So we have that time sequenced in place. These particular movements can be a little tricky and sometimes very frustrating to set up, especially as a rack and snail. So what we're going to do now is we're going to set it again. So we'll go ahead and put it back through. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Perfect, and it locks. Okay. And so we will rotate our wheel just a little bit. There we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and that's 11, and it locks. Alright, so we have that perfectly timed, and the verge is moving precisely. So now the only thing that is left to do is go ahead and put in our hammer gongs, and we'll go ahead and put in our spring. And this particular piece here will go in here. That locks down over there. This piece of spring here will lock down on top of that piece. And so now we have that piece locked. Okay. So then we have our short and our long. So we have our gong. And the gong locks into place. Alright, then we have our short, which is our cuckoo mechanism. Actually, I'm going to reverse that. We'll start at the bottom here. Okay. This particular movement's a little bit backwards. It's why we're having to do that. And then our hammer gong. We line it up. Alright. So that is a complete setup of a regular 25 German, West German cuckoo clock movement, rack and snail movement. So we have our rack and snail piece set up. And now all we have to do is get everything timed properly, and then we will put it into the cuckoo clock case, and then hook the bellows, and then hook the bird to the perch here. Then we'll also run the chains through the main wheels, and then add the weights, and then we'll start doing our final test. But that is how you set up a regular 25 cuckoo clock movement. Thank you so much.